Well, hello there. Today we're going to talk about bookish things and weird stuff. And on a side note, if you too want to have one of these shirts, you can. I'll put a link down below if you want to check that out. So, we're going to talk about my past, present, and future of books, what I have finished recently, what I'm in the middle of, and what I'm going to get into. So the first book that I recently finished, it comes out in March, and it's called Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. It is a gothic haunted house story set in Italy. The writing is so atmospheric. It follows this family, the Pace family. The kids are like in their 30s and they go, and it's the main character's Anna, her twin brother Benny, his boyfriend Christopher, the parents, their sister Nicole and her husband, and then the two kids, Waverly and Mia. And so they all go to Italy and stay in this like 600-year-old gothic like farmhouse. There's all these like cats around the area, and then there's also, it looks like everything around this place is just dead. Like no plant life will grow there, and the ground's all kind of like crunchy and brown, and stuff's all weird. And so it slowly gets creepier and creepier as, you know, seeing people in the windows that there was no one there, and there's this weird tower that's locked that they've been told explicitly to not open and do not go in there, that it's off limits. But the groundskeeper person gave them a key so they could open it if they are so curious. And of course, somebody's gonna be dumb enough to go open it. You know this, right? And that just basically unleashes the ghosts of this place that may want to harm the people staying there. And it's creepy and weird and atmospheric. And if you like haunted house stories, it's a great haunted house book. And I will have a standalone review in the future, but it will be closer to the release date of the book in March. And I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but I will put that down in the description below and let you know. Okay, and as for weird stuff that we're reading, currently I am reading We Are Not Alone by Mark Hartzman. And this is all about UFOs, different types of close encounters, cases from over the years, a lot of stuff that I have heard of before, like a lot of the really famous cases, like obviously Roswell, Betty and Barney Hill, the Pascagoula incident, the Rendlesham, but then there's also a lot of stuff that I hadn't heard of and that I hadn't known, and there's a lot of newer stuff too, because a lot of the UFO books I've read have been a lot of older. The more recent ones I've read was one by Fred Anderson, and that might have been the most recent UFO book that I've read. I've been reading a lot more cryptid stuff lately in the weird vein, but this one caught my eye when I was at the library, and I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely, you know, a lot of times you'll read case studies and books that's just like case study after case study, and that can kind of be boring, but the way this is put together, I feel like it was done really well. Because it's you know, to me, it's a subject I'm interested in, so it's not boring to me. If you're not interested in UFOs at all or aliens, then don't read this. But if you are, you might enjoy this, and I'm having a good time with it so far. All right, so then what I call this like a library, small library haul. Sure. So we got The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. I have never read a V.E. Schwab book, and I know this author is very popular. And as far as I know, hopefully this is a standalone book and I didn't pick up something that's like volume 3 or whatever, because I've done that before. And I tried to look to make sure. I think this is a standalone. I don't know. But let's have some story time with Sin, and I'll tell you what this one's about. I know it's going to be a fantasy, but that's all I know. A new door opens. Once there were 4 worlds, nestled like pages in a book, each pulsing with fantastical power and connected by a single city, London. After a desperate attempt to prevent corruption and ruin in the 4 Londons, there are only 3. Grey London, thriving, but barely able to remember its magical heritage. Red London, ruled lately by the Marish family, flourishing and powerful. And White London, left to brutality and decay. Now the worlds are going to collide anew, brought to a dangerous precipice by the discoveries of 3 remarkable magicians. There's Kasika, the child queen of White London, who has nourished her city on blood and dreams, and whose growing devotion to both is leading her down a dangerous path. Then there's Delilah Bard, born a thief in Grey London, who crossed the worlds to become a legend far from there. She's an infamous magician, a devious heroine, and a risk-taking rogue, all rolled into one unforgettable package. Having disappeared to seek new adventure, an old favor now calls Lila back to a dangerous port to join some old friends who need more help than even they realize. Last, there is Tess, a young runaway with an unusual and powerful ability, hiding out in Red London while trying to stay out of the limelight. Tess is the only one who can keep all the worlds from unraveling, if she manages to stay alive first. All right, that sounds fun. I look forward to getting into that one. It'll be my first V.E. Schwab book. Okay, next we got Beautyland with this lovely barcode on the front. Not from my library. My library doesn't do this, and I complain about it every time because I want a bookstagram these, dude. You're ruining me. Makes me so sad when they put them there. Like, anyways, shut up, Sin. All right. Anyways, Beautyland. What really matters is the story inside the pages. Yeah, I might still Instagram it and just try to put something over the barcode. We'll see. So Beautyland says it's science fiction. I don't really know much about this. I kept seeing it on Instagram. Like, honestly, I will pick up a book if the cover looks cool and I see it on Instagram and my library has it. That's a win-win-win. At the moment when Voyager 1 is launched into space carrying its famous golden record, a baby of unusual perception is born to a single mother in Philadelphia. Andina Giorno is tiny and jaundiced, but she reaches for warmth and light. As a child, she recognizes that she's different. She possesses a knowledge of a faraway planet. The arrival of a fax machine enables her to contact her extraterrestrial relatives, beings who have sent her to report on the oddities of Earthlings. For years, as she moves through the world and makes a life for herself among humans, she dispatches transmissions on the terrors and surprising joys of their existence. Then, at a precarious moment, a beloved friend urges Adina to share her messages with the world. Is there a chance that she is not alone? Wow, I had no idea what this was about. I thought this was going to be a horror book. It's not. Why did I think it was going to be a horror? Because I saw a couple people post it who typically read horror. I had no idea it was like an alien book. That's even better. Because what do I like? Bookish things and weird stuff. It's true. Yeah, that sounds really good. I look forward to reading this. Beautyland by Marie-Helene Bertino. That should be fun. So I guess I had a fantasy book haul. Fantasy sci-fi. The books that I got from the library. Because this last one is also fantasy, baby. Because every once in a while, I need to read me a Brandon Sanderson book. So we got Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And this one's a standalone, which is nice because I suck at reading series. I will make it to the third book. And after that, I just jump off a cliff because I'm like, I started the Wheel of Time series at one point in time. I got to the 7th book and then I gave up. What can you do? But let's talk about Tress in the Emerald Sea. Because I like the cover a lot. And this one is about, well, Tress, you know, and the Emerald Sea. The only life Tress has known on her island home is an emerald green ocean, and it has been a simple one, with the simple pleasure of collecting cups brought by sailors from faraway lands and listening to stories told by her friend Charlie. But when his father takes him on a voyage to find a bride and disaster strikes, Tress must stow away on a ship and seek the sorceress of the deadly midnight sea. Amid the spore oceans where pirates abound, can Tress leave her simple life behind and make her own place, sailing a sea where a single drop of water can mean instant death? Oh, this sounds like it's going to be a magical adventure journey. And so, I love books that take place on the water. I've talked about this several times. I have a weird obsession with the element of water, especially in stories, whether it's horror or fantasy or even nonfiction. One of my favorite books growing up as a kid, I loved The Voyage of the Dawn Treader of the Narnia Chronicles. And that's a book I still return to every once in a while. And it's just, you know, it's them on the water traveling to all these different little islands and all that good stuff. And there's weird creatures in the sea. And I wonder if we'll meet some in this book. So it should be fun. We gotta a fantasy-filled week coming up. I think it's funny. Like I said, sometimes I choose my books by a whim. Like I literally picked up Beautyland because I saw a bunch of people posting it on Instagram and I liked the cover. I didn't even read what it was about. Sometimes a cover will make me read a book. So some fun, fantastical fantasy shall be in my future. Out of all of those, I think I'm probably looking forward to the Brandon Sanderson one the most. And that's only because I know that almost every book I've read by Brandon Sanderson, I've had so much fun with. And sometimes the problem too, have you ever read a book that was so flippin' good, and then you go to read the next book of a different author, and if you hadn't read a Brandon Sanderson book first that like blew your socks off, maybe the book you read after would have been better than you feel like it is because you read a book that was just so like good. I'm trying to like put this into words. Like when you read a book that gives you a book hangover and it's so good, and then you read another book and you're like, eh, that was okay. But it's like, if I hadn't read it after a book I thought was so freaking good, would I have felt the same way? I wonder that sometimes. I don't know. These are the weird thoughts that come into my brain because I've had that experience before. I think I finished the second book in the Mistborn trilogy, and then I read a book by an author that I normally really like, and I just thought it was okay. And I thought maybe I thought it was okay because the book I read prior was so good. I'm just repeating myself at this point. Anyways, welcome to the ramblings of Sen's brain, where thoughts go bing, 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 and then sometimes they come out my mouth. So if you are a fan of videos where I ramble on about stuff that I've been reading, next video coming up will be about that. So stick around, check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.